Meg for IT Stamping and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be making a Christmas card using just a few supplies. So let's go ahead and dive in and kind of go over what those supplies are. We're going to be using the star framelits, and you can use any star shape that you have. I chose one that on the outside edge of this metal is right about 3 1/4 inches, just so that you know for size planning. Then I'm going to use one stamp set. I'm using the Wonderful Year stamp set from Stampin' Up. I've got 3 different colors of cardstock. Real red, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And then I've got one piece of crumb cake that's going to be 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then 2 pieces of Thisper White. Both are going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Then I have some of the Candy Cane Lane washi tape. I've got all the different patterns here. I have an embossing folder, and I went with one that has great texture, but not too busy. So I didn't want something that was going to overwhelm our project. One ink pad, I'm going with Real Red, and then some ribbon. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to start actually with our die cutting. So we're going to want our crumb cake piece and that star framelit. I'm going to bring in the Big Shot. We're going to get this guy lined up so that he's closer to the top and the point going up. So actually, let me turn it. I can see it better this way rather than trying to do it upside down or sideways, I guess. We're going to put our top plate on, and we're just going to zip this on through the Big Shot. So once we finish that, we're going to have our star that we can keep in our scrap bin and use for another project. But now we're going to do something with this piece right here. So I'm going to remove the thin die adapter, and we're going to do some dry embossing. So remember this folder. This is the sparkle folder. Again, you can go with anything that you want. You just don't want it to overwhelm your project. We're going to keep a plate on the bottom and then the plate on top and send it back on through the Big Shot. And when we're done, we are going to have this right here. Awesome. Okay, so now we're all done with the Big Shot. We can scoot him on out of the way. And let's go ahead now and focus on our stamping, just that we're moving things out of the way rather than adding more into the mess. Okay, so I'm going to be using my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. It's just a stamp positioner, and I've already done the first step. But in the comments below this video, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will leave a link to where you can learn. You can see the entire video on how to use the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. Okay, so I'm gonna get this on there. There we go. I'm gonna bring in my Real Red ink pad and my stamp. Get him nice and inked up. Fit my stamp up into the corner and then stamp. Because this is such a big stamp, I like to take my hand off and kind of press around just to make sure we're getting all of it. And there we go. Okay, so that is all the stamping that we need to do. The next thing that we're going to do is, after we move this out of the way, is go ahead and bring in that other piece of white cardstock. And I've got this right here. So I'm just going to kind of layer this on there, but I'm not attaching it just yet. I'm going to take a pencil. This step is completely optional, but I find that it is a big frustration saver down the road. So I just went ahead and traced that. Now we're going to bring in our washi tape. The reason I like to have the pencil line is so that when I go to apply the washi, I don't make it too long or too short. I don't want to waste supplies, but I also want to make sure that I'm using everything I need. So I'm going to put this on and just tear off the excess. And we're going to go over to the gumdrops. I'm putting it right up next to the other one, not on top. Just right next to it. And then let's add some peppermints. So I'll tell you, I'm trying to use as much of the Christmas ones as I can, because if I leave the stripes and the dots and the stars, I can use them throughout the year because they're not as Christmas focused. So actually, let's go ahead and just keep on going with that idea. I will go ahead and use some of the dots. Okay, so this one is all covered up from the star, no more pencil lines. And let's go ahead and we'll just, since this one's out, do that right there. Okay, now believe it or not, we're getting closer to being able to assemble our card. So let's go ahead and do some of it. So we're gonna bring in that card base, and on the inside of our card, I'm gonna drop in our stamped expression. And you know what, I'm gonna take that off and try to put it on straight this time. I much prefer it when it goes in the card straight. There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead. We'll bring him in place and drop that panel right onto our card. So it kind of looks like a mess, right? And so now we're ready to turn our attention to this. Before I put any more adhesive on there, I want to go ahead and make sure to get my ribbon added. So I'm going to take my ribbon. This is just the real red stitched ribbon. It has a sheen to it. You can kind of see it's all shiny. Love that. We're going to take some glue dots. I'm just going to kiss that on there, and we're going to peel it off. Take this. We're just going to wrap it around to the back side and let that glue dot on the back side hold it in place. If you want another one on the front, you can just sneak it underneath there. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in some dimensionals. So I'm going to put one in each corner, and then a couple around my stars. Because I don't want this to sit flat. Like, I don't want the around the star to be pushed in at all. I'm almost out. Like, this is such a happy thing for me, using up a sheet, but then I'm also like, oh, now I get to start a new sheet. Okay, so we're going to take this, peel these off. And now we're ready to take this and drop it on the front of our card. Okay, so right here I have some washi tape sticking out. It's not a problem. Look, just take your fingernail and smush it in there. Ta-da, easy fix. Okay, one more thing and then we are done. So I'm gonna grab the 10-second bow maker. And the way I like to kind of do it is like this. That will tell me how wide my ribbon's gonna be. And that works for me because it looks good with the width of that star. So I'm going to bring in more of that satin ribbon. If you don't have a 10-second bow maker, you can always order them at 10secondbowmaker.com. All right, so we're going to pull that off. I'm going to use my ribbon scissors and trim the tails. But look at that, perfect ribbon every time. And now we're going to go back to those glue dots. Kiss that on there. And then drop it onto our card. And there we have it. So we have this super cute Christmas card. We've got Christmas washi tape behind there. We've got the star. We've got all the texture. And see how that texture isn't overwhelming? It's just right because we want that washi tape to really shine. And then on the inside, we have our fabulous sentiment and plenty of room for writing. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this card. If you like this video, please be sure to like it below. And if you need to order any of the supplies, if you want to recreate this, you can go to iteachstamping.com and on the blog, look for the online ordering button. I certainly do appreciate it when you order through me. If you have any questions, please leave them below the video if you're watching this on YouTube. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. All right, that's all there is. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.